11 to 13.
FOMO.
But what about camping? That's what the Girl Scouts is all about. You don't always have internet camping.
I don't get it. Okay, well, there's a famous turkey in New York City, and it went on a snow tour. Astoria. There's Astoria was seen in Battery Park walking around, as turkeys do, of course. Astoria is famous in New York because she flew from Manhattan to Roosevelt Island. She's been on a neighborhood tour since then.
Good Day Chicago at 8 starts now.
And on Good Day Chicago, Metra is helping launch a new initiative to help people safe, how it intends to stop sex trafficking.
Well, you've had acrobats perform their last moves about your head while you dine here in Chicago. Bluff Club Chicago's here to tell us which show, sadly, though, is shutting down.
And traveling with toddlers can seem like a good reason to just stay home. We will talk to an expert on how to take the stress out and go on vacation with the kids.
It is 8 o'clock on the button. We're taking a live look outside. Still cold out there. That is another one of the headlines, but maybe a warm-up is on the way, Caitlin.
You see at the bottom of the screen, it said you're missing those 80-degree days in October at right about now?
Yes.
I'm guessing that was David, too. That's so funny. Yes, I think we are all missing the heat. Even seeing that picture of that beautiful family on a beach with the sunshine and the warm temperatures. Just have that in your mind as I tell you the forecast today, because it is going to be another very cold day. Temperatures hardly climbing above 10. And we have some light snow around. Behind me, you can see mostly dry conditions, but you might see a flurry here or there, especially as we round the lake. So LaPorte, Berrien County with some light snow currently. Temperatures, though, we are right around 13 degrees at the lakefront currently, as well as O'Hare, 11 from Waukegan to Aurora. Temperatures in northwest Indiana ranging from about 10 to 16 degrees. So it's cold for everyone. On top of that, you probably heard the wind howling last night. It's very gusty still. 24-mile-per-hour wind gusts from O'Hare to Midway to Waukegan to LaSalle. So it's going to make it feel even colder. We'll take a look at that wind chill ahead. Natalie.
Thank you, Caitlin. The folks at Metra are doing their part to tackle a very serious issue in our country, and even surprising that it's so prevalent here in Chicago. We're talking about human trafficking. Turns out there's an important role for the transit agency to play in stopping this. Roseanne is at Union Station with more this morning. Good morning, Roseanne.
Good morning, Natalie. Well, it turns out Metra employees and passengers can help identify victims. Now, it is Human Trafficking Prevention Month, so Metra decided it was the perfect time to act. So today, they are passing out magnets to riders as they get off the train, and these magnets list all of the signs to watch out for. Victims are often transported by train, so the hope is that if riders recognize what's happening, it could be the first step to getting a victim away from a trafficker. 95% of those are trafficked by the time they're 13 years old. They're exploited and basically brainwashed, often too frightened to reach out for help. Well, Jim Derwinski, the executive director and CEO of Metra, says there are some other important signs to look for.
Look for individuals that are maybe look like they're uncomfortable with the people they're with. They won't make eye contact, say with the conductor, heads down. It's not normal for adolescents to not be on their phone. That's another sign. They might be out of seasonal clothing. They might be wearing shorts, and it's, I don't know, January 30th, and it seems very out of place. Sometimes they're in groups, maybe 2 or 3 people sitting together, and again, then you have someone who says, hey, I've got all their tickets for them. It could be normal, but it could be a sign that something that needs to be looked at deeper.
Well, some eye-opening tips to be sure. There's a website called reclaim13.org, and Derwinski says he learned so much information there. He has been involved in this mission for years now. So these magnets, again, know the signs are being passed out at Metra. If you got one and stuffed it in your pocket, be sure and look at it when you get home. Put it on the refrigerator and just share this information. It's all about getting the word out, again, so you could try to get these victims away from the traffickers. At Union Station, Roseanne Tejas, Fox Chicago.
Thank you, Roseanne. Such an important topic and something important to know about as well. Lawyer for a Chicago woman shot by a Border Patrol agent is calling for evidence to be made public. Marimar Martinez had been accused of ramming the vehicle of a Border Patrol agent back in October. She was shot multiple times. Charges against her, though, were dropped. Martinez's lawyer says releasing body cam footage and other forms of evidence will shed new light on the case. The White House is sending Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino back to his old job in California. Border Czar Tom Homan will go to Minneapolis to take over. White House began to soften its tone about the killing of Alex Preddy, the protester and ICU nurse, by ICE agents in Minneapolis. Bovino said to be retiring soon once he returns to California. Dozens gathered in Arlington Heights to stand in solidarity with the Minneapolis community and show support for Alex Preddy. Last night's vigil was hosted by the Northwest Suburbs Organizing for Action. People braved the cold in order to have their voices heard.
They are murders. ICE is murdering people. They shot her in cold blood. They shot Alex Preddy in cold blood. He was trying to help someone.
We're at a loss for words. We've never seen anything like this in our country, and it's unspeakable.
Organizers say the best way the people can help is by calling their members of Congress and urging them to oppose funding that supports ICE. We're starting to get an idea of how deadly the winter storm was across the country. I mean, it impacted so many states. Gabriella is here now with more.
Yeah, Natalie, and unfortunately, so far, there's been at least 30 deaths tied to the storm. A lot of the biggest problems were caused by hypothermia over a big section of the country. People were found dead outside in New York, North Carolina, and Texas. And 2 people died from sledding accidents in Texas and Arkansas. 2 people in Massachusetts were killed by a snowplow. There are still hundreds of thousands of people without power, as many as 670,000. Most of them are in Tennessee and Mississippi. More than 15,000 flights have been canceled the last 2 days. NATO says there's not a solid deal yet on Greenland, but there's talks to still keep going on. The president said last week he had reached a deal with Denmark and NATO over Greenland. NATO says it would take a leading role in securing the Arctic, but Denmark, Greenland, and the U.S. have to be the ones working out the details. And the person in charge of NATO told members if they thought they could defend Europe without the U.S. to keep dreaming.
If anyone thinks here, again, that the European Union or Europe as a whole can defend itself without the U.S., keep on dreaming.
We are facing a balancing act here. We need to continue to represent and defend our European interests.
The Trump administration says it has no intention of backing down. NATO says there are also very sensitive talks going on about Ukraine. It says the biggest sticking point is Russia refusing to give up land it took from Ukraine. Natalie, I'll send it back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Gabby. It is International Holocaust Remembrance Day, and there will be ceremonies to remember the victims today. Brian has more on some of the survivors.
Well, every year we lose more of the Holocaust survivors, and one of them is ready to tell their story for the very first time. Alana Shalem is 81. She was born in a concentration camp during World War II. She says that the only reason she is here is because her mother was able to hide her pregnancy from the Nazis. She was born on March 20th of 1945. 29 days later, British troops liberated the camp that she was in. She is one of the youngest living Holocaust survivors. An archivist says it is a miracle she was able to survive.
The conditions were really awful. There were mounds of corpses. There were dozens of thousands of people who were ill, almost without food at that time, who were seated not only inside the building but also outside the buildings. So I personally cannot imagine how the baby could be born there. And the most surprisingly, this birth certificate for researchers.
Okay. Survivors visited the former concentration camp in Germany today. They were marking 81 years since it was liberated by Soviet soldiers. They laid flowers and wreaths at what became known as the Wall of Death. The Nazis would execute people there. Most of them were from Poland. There are currently less than 200,000 Holocaust survivors still alive today. The Illinois Holocaust Museum will be hosting an event tonight to honor the victims at the Northbrook Library. Back over to you, Natalie.
Okay, thanks so much, Brian. All right, what about this? Coming to the United Center, drinks with THC. The announcement was just made this morning. Senorita and Rhythm will be the first THC beverages offered at a major arena in the U.S. The drinks will be available at the New Edition concert with Boyz II Men and Toni Braxton on February 4th, and at the concert with Rascal Flatts, Lauren Elena, and Chris Lane on February 6th. So there you have it, Caitlin. What a lead in.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, this morning it is very cold. We also have a touch of snow out there. So let's first talk about our skies, because some flurry activity not out of the question for us in the city. Behind me you can see from the lakefront to right along that Lake County border, we have some blue showing up. So flurries possible, yes. As we round the lake, this is where we have been seeing that lake effect, of course. Still seeing light snow coming down from northern Porter County to LaPorte and Berrien County this morning. Temperatures, though, definitely the main headline, as we are only sitting at 13 degrees from the lakefront to O'Hare, 14 from Midway to Chicago Heights, 11 in Waukegan, 12 in Valpo, 13 in Morris and in Kankakee, with gusty winds up to about 25 miles per hour at times. We're seeing those gusts at 25 from Midway to 24 at O'Hare, so that's going to make it feel even colder right now, below zero for the wind chill from O'Hare to Midway. We're seeing 3 degrees below zero for the feel-like temperature at O'Hare, down to 6 degrees below zero in Aurora and Woodstock, 7 degrees below zero in DeKalb. So it is going to be another very chilly day. Looking at the next 12 hours, we're staying around 5 to 6 degrees below zero on through the afternoon and this evening. Temperatures, they're going to be pretty stagnant over the next few days. Here's your 7-day forecast. Tomorrow, right around 17 degrees as our high, down to 15 again Thursday, Friday. Then we have the chance for some lake effect snow Friday into Saturday and Saturday night. But this weekend, we're back to the 20s, and that's going to carry us into the beginning of next week as well. Natalie.
Thank you, Caitlin. We're going to go live to Minneapolis in just 2 minutes, where our Saquon is on the ground. She has been hearing from people there. And a major university is ready to settle with the family of a student athlete who took her own life. We've got more weather next, but first, here is your 7-day forecast.
What are you girls doing?
We're doing all the heating, plumbing, and electric around here.
All right, I know you girls know stuff, but let's leave it to our trusted local experts. Let's call Four Seasons.
It's about time you figured it out.
Whether it's heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, air duct cleaning, or generators, you can always trust Four Seasons.
For all the right reasons, call 866-4 Seasons.
Live better, Bode more.
All you need to
Welcome back, 8:14. Another cold start to the day. We're going to check in with Caitlin in just a moment. Developing this morning, Acting Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bovino has been demoted.
We are learning that some federal agents are also expected to leave Minnesota at the same time. Fox Chicago's Saquon is live in Minneapolis with more. Say.
Hey, good morning to you. Well, let's talk about the fact that, obviously Greg Bovino, the face of these immigration operations, has now been demoted. We are confirming now with sources, and he is set to return to his former job to, quote, lead the implementation of the Trump administration's immigration policy in California. Lots expected today. Obviously, as you mentioned, those federal agents are set to leave in Minnesota, at least some of them. And that's exactly the question this morning. How many of those federal agents will be leaving, and will ICE agents be a part of that departure today? Right now, there are 3,000 federal agents here in Minnesota as part of these immigration operations. About 2,000 of them are with ICE. The other 1,000 are with Border Patrol. We do know that Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino will also be leaving today. We also know today Border Czar Tom Homan will be arriving here to Minnesota. Homan comes with law enforcement experience working with both Republicans and Democrats. We know he was named Associate Director of ICE by President Barack Obama back in 2013. He was named Director of ICE by President Trump back in 2017, and most recently Border Czar by the President also in 2024 to be in charge of all deportations. We've also been hearing from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who's been saying Tom Homan will basically now be the point of contact here on the ground in Minneapolis. Mayor Jacob Frey, Minneapolis mayor, has also said that he will be meeting with Tom Homan at some point today to discuss further steps, although he did not clarify what that might look like. Guys?
Okay, so we hear there was a ruling regarding a federal judge made a ruling, and apparently this has implications for detainees. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So, and I'm just learning this in real time as well, just in the last few minutes. Basically, a federal judge has now basically called on the ICE acting director, Todd Lyons, to appear in federal court in front of a federal judge to explain why these detainees have not been going through due process, why they have not been, going through the hearings as part of that due process. This has pretty much been the biggest question surrounding all of these immigration operations, particularly here in Minnesota. Why are they not being given a chance to attend these hearings? From what we are hearing from the federal court, they've kind of used language that basically says they've had their last straw. They're getting very impatient about this. So Todd Lyons, that acting ICE director, is set to appear in federal court this Friday to explain this. And I think this is the question that a lot of community members here in Minnesota, as well as really the entire world, have been asking. So this should clarify a lot, especially with that explanation. We have not heard from DHS officials or ICE officials on this. They have not responded to that, but we are on the lookout for sure.
All right, keep us posted. Saquon on the ground for us in Minneapolis this morning. We appreciate it. It has now been a year since a commercial flight and a military aircraft collided in Washington, D.C.
Gabrielle is here with more on the answers that we might get today. Gabby?
The NTSB is holding a hearing today, as you said. It was on January 29th of last year when the crash happened. 67 people died when an American Airlines flight and Army helicopter collided. Today, board members are expected to detail the safety issues that caused the crash, vote on the probable cause, and then also issue safety recommendations to prevent similar crashes from happening. The FAA has already made changes so planes and helicopters don't share the same airspace at Reagan Airport. Stanford University and the family of soccer goalie Katie Meyer reached a settlement in the family's wrongful death lawsuit. Meyer took her own life in 2022. As part of the settlement, Stanford will create a Katie Meyer Leadership Award, and her jersey will be retired. No one has said if there was any monetary in the settlement. At the time of her death, Meyer was facing disciplinary action. She was accused of spilling coffee on a Stanford football player who was accused of sexually assaulting one of her teammates. Well, from the Better Them Than Us department, as we say, the numbers are in on New York City snowfall, and it was the biggest in 5 years. It got about 11 inches. Sleepy Hollow, and yes, of Sleepy Hollow fame, got 15 inches. New Jersey got enough snow to stop the trains, though they are rolling again today. Anthony, Natalie.
Okay, thank you very much, Gabriella, as we take a look at the bean, which has a little hat on. Indeed. Caitlin, Cody. How are we doing temperature-wise today?
Not great.
Not great.
Not great, but better than we have been, so that's good. Also, it's beautiful. Again, you can see these live shots behind me. Blue skies, sunshine. Now, we do have the chance for a few flurries out there for about another hour or so. And as we round the lake, of course, that's where we're still seeing some light snow come down from Porter to LaPorte and Berrien County. But Anthony asked about the temperature. This is what it feels like outside. 5 degrees at the lakefront, but a lot of us are below zero again this morning, feeling like 2 degrees below zero at Midway, 3 degrees below zero at O'Hare, 6 degrees below zero from Aurora to Woodstock. Northwest Indiana, you're hovering at around 1 to 4 degrees below zero for you stepping out the door this morning. Today, highs are going to be around 10 to 15 degrees in Chicagoland with that wind coming in out of the west-northwest. It's a touch gusty. This morning, we're seeing those winds around 25 miles per hour at times, but we could see winds above 30 miles per hour today. Again, the chance for flurries, especially early tonight, getting down to about 3. So another very cold night with wind chills to around 10 to 15 degrees below zero, with the wind coming in again out of the west up to about 15 miles per hour. So here's your futurecast. Let's see what's going on this afternoon. 4 o'clock, and temperatures, as mentioned, are hovering at around 10 to 15 degrees. Generally quiet conditions outside of the potential for those gusty winds. And then we head into tonight, 2 a.m., and temperatures are dropping down to the low single digits. Heading into tomorrow, it's going to be another day similar to today. Tack on a couple degrees, around 15 to 20 in the afternoon. And then we're kind of on repeat here as we head to Thursday. Temperatures back to the teens, but we have the chance for some lake effect snowfall starting as soon as Thursday night and Friday, even into this weekend. A full check of your 7-day forecast is ahead.
Okay, Caitlin, thank you very much. And today on Chicago Now, we are going to be speaking with TMZ about how much trouble Sydney Sweeney might be in for a little stunt that took place on the Hollywood sign. SNAP benefits are changing in just a few days as well. We're going to go over what everyone needs to know about that. And a man has an inspiring reason to visit every continent on the planet, how his grief led him to take that mission. All that is coming up a little bit later this morning on Chicago Now. We will be right back with more Good Day after this. Welcome back at 8:24 on your Tuesday morning. since it is Tuesday, we are hosting our friends over at Block Club Chicago to run us through some of the neighborhood stories that they are diving into. And this morning, our guest, Quinn Myers. Quinn, thanks for being here.
Great to be here as always. Thanks so much.
Got 3 stories to go through today. These are all fascinating. First off, there was a group of, I'm going to just call them cool kids, cool like music kids,
Definitely.
who are making these reel-to-reel tape players for certain restaurants. Run us through exactly what they do. This is a cool thing. We probably, if we've been to certain restaurants, heard their playlists,
You
right?
definitely have. So restaurants like Bisou, Mott Street, Mars Brewing, Soho House, Uncan Music is the name of the company. And basically they curate the entire musical experience for your dining experience. Stuff you probably don't even recognize or realize unless you are like, hey, I know that song, you know, when you have a quick moment. It's kind of meant to create the whole sonic experience of dining. So they make playlists, they fashion these old reel-to-reel tape players, kind of give it the cool retro look and feel, sound feel. And then they also do acoustics for the restaurant, you know, so you can hear the music and you can also have a conversation and you're not shouting. You know, we've all been in restaurants where you can't hear anything, so they do the acoustic design of spaces.
There they are right there, the 4 of them. When I read the story, I was like, you know what, I'm not cool anymore. I was
Right.
maybe at one point, and it's good to have a team like that doing it for me.
Those are the people I would hire if I saw them on the street.
And totally. So are they functional reel-to-reel tape players?
They are, and you know, they kind of download the digital playlist files on there, but then they work as reel-to-reel. So you know, they're like, I believe it's about 90 minutes stretch of music, so you don't have to keep changing the song if you're behind the bar, and you can adjust to, all right, afternoon lunch or busy dinner service or late night cocktail bar, that kind of thing. So it's pretty cool, and they're actually in restaurants and bars all over Chicago, and I think even in China they have, you know, they've kind of gone a little bit international, but they are Chicago-based.
I love
Uncan
it.
Music.
I love it. I love the whole what's old is new again trend that we're seeing in many areas. Okay, next up, you have done an interesting profile of the, I'll say, breed of individual that is totally fine with these cold temperatures and not letting it interrupt their training regimen outside.
That's right, and one is actually, we didn't interview her, but my fiance ran 13 miles the other day.
In the cold?
In the cold, and I told her she can't run.
Oh my
She doesn't
gosh.
listen to me. But yeah, so you know, Chicago is you know, kind of famous for our running culture.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop when it's -19. Here we got some people out on the lakefront. So we talked to people. We had a photographer out there with a sign saying, please let us interview you, stop runners. So we talked to a bunch of people up and down the lakefront. And, you know, you could say they're brave. Some might say they're a little reckless. But if you do layer up and you're an experienced runner, it is safe. And people are maybe a little crazy to run 20 miles in this cold. But, you know, power to them.
It's not, and you're right, it is part of Chicago. They're the part of the fabric of the city.
Exactly.
You know, you drive on Lakeshore Drive and you see them going. I will say the photography that goes with that story, it's spectacular.
Yeah, it's a nice little snapshot of winter in Chicago where most of us are bundled up at home watching TV. No, not these folks.
Not these folks. Very impressive. Okay. This is an unfortunate story as well. This is a sad thing. Teatro Zinzani is going to be closing after 7 or 8 years, correct?
That's right.
What is Teatro Zinzani, and will you talk about the rationale behind closing their doors?
Yeah, so this is kind of a dinner theater, comedy, cabaret theater downtown on Randolph Street in the Cambria Hotel on the 14th floor. It's been around since 2019. And look, you got some circus performers, musicians. It's a really cool thing that started in Seattle. But like the fate of so many smaller theaters, you know, off-Broadway performers, they've really seen a slump in ticket sales over the past year. I think they're down about 25%. So the founder is saying after this coming Saturday, we're going to take a break, maybe come back in the fall, try to retool some stuff. But I think it really came down to the bottom line. They just weren't bringing in enough ticket sales.
It's sad because you said they opened in 2019, right?
In Chicago. They go back even farther in Seattle, yeah.
But then the pandemic hit. Right out of the gate.
Right, good point.
And then this economy stuff happened. So we might see them back in the fall.
We might. It's TBD at this point. But right now, their last show is the 31st, which is Saturday. So, you know, last chance to see some of those amazing performers.
All right, Quinn, if folks want the chance to see these stories and more, where do they head online?
blockclubchicago.org.
Okay, Quinn, thank you for coming in. Great to see you, too. Really appreciate it, as always. It's 8:28 on your Tuesday morning. If the idea of traveling with a toddler has you changing your plans, we got a little news for you. We are going to speak with an expert on how to take the tantrums out of travel. Oh my gosh, that sounds too good to be true. Caitlin.
Traveling with
I know
the
we are going to be paying
baby.
attention. Oh boy.
Oh yeah, taking notes on that one. I envy that, Mama. All right, this morning, it's beautiful. We've got blue sky, a few flurries out there possible, and temperatures feel like we could be below zero. Another cold one is on tap. Do we have any relief in that forecast? I'll show you the full thing. That 7-day is ahead.
The force is with the Chicago Wolves.
Chicago fire crews investigating an overnight house fire in the freezing cold in Roseland. The three-story building caught fire before 3 o'clock this morning. People on the scene say that the people inside the home were able to get out. At this point, we do not know what caused that fire.
Really sad news. A snowplow driver was killed when a Metra train hit that plow Monday in Bartlett. The driver, who hasn't been named publicly, was a public works employee. Metra says it is investigating what happened. No one on the train was hurt.
The Score will pay tribute today to Terry Boers. Boers died last week from liver failure at the age of 75. He left his sports writing job with the Sun-Times to join the Score in 1992. And when he was paired with Dan McNeil, they created one of the biggest sports radio shows in Chicago. Boers retired in 2017. The Score will run programming today between noon and 7 to honor him.
All right, you may have seen the movie The Blind Side about that football player and the parents who adopted him. Well, the actor, one of the main actors in that movie, is in the hospital this morning, and things are not good.
Gabriella's here now with more.
Yeah, you know, guys, this is so sad. Quentin Aaron is his name, and he's been hospitalized and is fighting for his life after falling at his Atlanta home. So Aaron's manager says the actor was put on life support due to severe blood infection. Aaron starred in the Oscar-winning film alongside Sandra Bullock, playing former NFL offensive lineman Michael Orr. His manager says Aaron is currently stable, communicating with loved ones, and receiving the appropriate care. Police say a man in California had a secret bunker. Okay, guys, he was very busy. Listen to this. This bunker was stashed with an entire armory. And plus, illegal marijuana grow farm. The CHP says 40-year-old Michael J. Campholis faced multiple weapons charges after officers found 13 guns, including assault rifles and assault-off shotgun, thousands of rounds of ammunition, and body armor. The CHP says the bunker was accessed through a 100-foot culvert and equipped with power, ventilation, and supplies needed to cultivate marijuana. Some crooks in California used a car to rob a jewelry store. They rammed the car through the front doors. Here it is. Then 8 masked bandits jumped out and cleaned out the display cases. They got back in the car and drove off. The goods were worth thousands of dollars, but police say they later caught most of the suspects after they got involved in 2 separate traffic crashes. Big surprise, guys. Natalie, Anthony, what a pile of stories we just shared.
Oh my gosh, yeah, a lot of variety.
Still trying to wrap my head around that bunker.
Yeah, me too. I want blueprints of that thing just to see the scale of it. 100 foot in a tunnel?
Out he had it.
My gosh.
Yeah, there's another thing.
Thank you, Gabby. 8:35. Even though the White House may be changing its tone on what happened in Minneapolis, the threat of a partial government shutdown is not going away.
It is so close. The deadline is Friday for lawmakers to reach a deal. Doug Luzader has more.
The decision to scale back operations in Minnesota followed phone calls yesterday with the president, the governor of Minnesota, and the mayor of Minneapolis. The weeks of sometimes violent protests, the aggressive crackdown on illegal immigrants, and the shooting deaths of 2 protesters. After pressure from even some Republicans, the president wanted it to stop.
That's why President Trump spoke with Governor Walz directly this morning.
The White House confirming that the president spoke on the phone with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. The president is now willing to back off if he gets more cooperation on rounding up illegal immigrants accused of other crimes.
President Trump's hope and wish and demand for the resistance and chaos to end today.
Border Czar Tom Homan is now being sent to Minnesota to take over federal efforts there. But it's not clear if Minnesota officials will reverse any of their sanctuary policies. And in the meantime, more Democrats are willing to shut down the government this week if there aren't changes to the Department of Homeland Security and ICE.
And if it results in a partial government shutdown, this is the lever we have. It's time to stand up. We can't give this administration one more inch.
But any changes to the DHS funding bill means Congress is likely to miss the Friday funding deadline.
Looming is a government shutdown, another harmful, unnecessary, and disastrous government shutdown if we do not complete our work.
And we're likely to hear a lot more about this story today from the president, who's going to be speaking in Iowa this afternoon. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
All right, thanks to Doug there. With this weather, the last thing you want right now is to be stuck without any salt.
Ryan is here to explain that apparently that is happening in some parts of the country.
Yeah, some of them are dealing with a salt shortage they're just trying to thaw out from all the ice over the weekend. It's also impacting businesses here in Chicago. This letter from a snow removal business shows one of their suppliers had to cancel orders because there just isn't enough salt. Streets and Sanitation Commissioner Cole Stoller tells us this is not the first time that they've encountered this.
We're getting it in June when people aren't getting it. We're getting it in July when people aren't getting it. Because come February, after a week like this, everybody's trying to get that salt. So it's where does the priority become? And we want to know that we're sitting good.
The snow removal business says that the frozen Illinois River and Lake Peoria are putting barges at a standstill in parts of the country that normally don't get salt and snow or buying salt, which is impacting businesses nationwide. As we check in with Caitlin, we're not thawing out anytime soon either.
No, we're not. In fact, this morning, it feels like we could be below zero. The temperatures have dropped even from the last time you saw me. 3 degrees below zero is what it feels like now at the lakefront, as well as at O'Hare. 6 degrees below zero in Aurora as the wind chill. 9 degrees below zero in DeKalb. Northwest Indiana, it feels like around 0 to 4 degrees below zero. So cold for all of us, dangerously cold, in fact. So limit your exposure if you can. Talking about our temperatures today, we're going to be hovering around 10 to 15 degrees in Chicagoland with that wind coming in out of the west-northwest up to 35 miles per hour. So that's the one hiccup in this forecast, along with the potential for some light flurries around. We are going to have gusty wind, so that wind chill is going to be chilly throughout the whole day. Tonight, we're dropping down to about 3 with the west wind, again, 5 to 10, up to 15 for gusts. Here's your futurecast as we time out your day. This afternoon, 4:15, and temperatures are ranging, as mentioned, around 10 to 15 degrees. Generally quiet conditions. You can see snow coming down for our neighbors in western Michigan, but for us in Chicagoland, after this morning, I expect dry skies. Temperatures are going to be right around 2 degrees to start off your day tomorrow morning, and then we work our way back to the mid and upper teens for the afternoon. It's going to be another quiet day, and we're on repeat here for Thursday, back to the teens in the afternoon, but then we have the chance for some lake effect snowfall, especially Thursday night, Friday, even into Saturday. Tomorrow, as mentioned, teens, I'm going 17 as our high with that wind coming in out of the west, up to 20 miles per hour. A full check of your 7-day forecast is ahead. It's 8:40. Stay with us. It is National Plan for Vacation Day, and who doesn't want to escape this cold? This morning, we are rounding up some easy-to-get-to travel options for Chicagoans with kids. Christina Hayesfield is the founder of Jet Set Christina. She's a travel blogger, and most importantly, she's a mom. Welcome to Good Day Chicago.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's dive right in here. What should parents look for when choosing a warm weather destination with babies, toddlers, young kids?
I really love to look for a really nice hotel. You know, it's less about the destination for me as it is the hotel and how easy it is to get there and how easy they make life for a mom or a dad once you arrive. Because I just want to be able to relax. I don't want to have to, have a long transfer from the airport. I don't want to have I love a nonstop flight. And there are so many great options from Chicago for that I just look for places that make it easy.
Okay, so let's talk about some of those destinations you would recommend from Chicago.
Yeah, I think Florida is an easy win from Chicago. Easy to get to. You have Palm Beach. I just recently stayed at the Ritz-Carlton Key Biscayne outside of Miami. wonderful hotel for families. They did a really great job they just renovated the hotel. It was like $100 million renovation. Beautiful, amazing for families. There's also there's Naples, there's Key West. Like there's so many Florida options that are so easy to get to. Besides that, I love Mexico. I love Riviera Maya. Cancun is a direct from Chicago. It's 3 hours to get there. So easy. And then you have Cabo if you want it's a little bit longer of a flight, 4.5 hours to get there, but I love Cabo as well.
Okay, so let's talk about then how these hotels can help. Talk about some of the perks that hotels offer that people may not even know about.
Yeah, we have had some amazing family-friendly hotels offer things that you wouldn't even think of, like a pack and play poolside so that your baby can nap while you relax and you don't have to go back to the room. We've had hotels that when you check in, there's a baby bathtub waiting for you. And a lot of these things you don't think to ask for, but you really should ask for ahead of your stay and say, what amenities do you offer for families? And then they'll give you a list and you can just say what you want.
We obviously, we don't want to stress with the routines either. So are there some other tips you can provide for that?
Definitely. I really try not to get too rigid with routines on vacation. But that being said, I think what helps your children feel comfortable in a new place is having a little bit of their routine, right? So when they go to bed at night, having the same sleep sack and the same, a couple of their bedtime books that they love, having like a little bit of that familiarity, as well as same thing with naps. Like, so if you're getting them down for a nap, a little bit of that familiarity. That being said, I do love an on-the-go nap, or like we said, a poolside nap, keeping them flexible because that always helps also.
What is one mistake that you think parents make when planning trips with kids?
Definitely over planning the schedule or not leaving room for just relaxing, because I think you're not going to be able to do as much with kids as you would without kids. Of course, they have schedules, they have needs. And I think when you try to over plan your trip, it just becomes stressful for everybody.
How do you navigate the flights themselves? Because it is like 50-50. Is the child going to be screaming or are they going to comply?
Yes, I agree. And I think part of it is definitely just going into that, knowing that sometimes you might have a bad flight and life will go on. But that being said, we really try to talk to our kids about the flight leading up to the flight, really bringing them into the travel experience. My son is 3.5 and he loves to fly and he loves to talk about the airplane and the pilot and the airport security. He loves to be a part of the whole process. So I think that really helps too, because they're just excited. My son, the airplane is his favorite part of vacation. So I think getting them excited and then going into it also just having a positive attitude yourself, because even babies feed off of your energy, and especially children, but babies, like they're feeding off of you. And so if you're going into it not stressed and relaxed, then they'll be not stressed and relaxed.
All right, Christina, where can people find more information?
Follow me on Instagram at JetSetChristina. My blog is jetsetchristina.com.
All right, thanks so much. She makes more hotel recommendations and travel destinations as well on those sites. Thanks so much, Christina.
Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, Caitlin, to get away.
All right, now let's go to the Bahamas.
Right.
We'll bring both of our crews. It'll be fine.
It'll be awesome.
Today, it is unfortunately beautiful but cold. Temperatures are going to be feeling like we could be below zero again, with highs in the teens. Really, that's going to be the story of the next couple of days. Highs in the teens, that is. So let's talk about our weather headlines. As you peer at the sky here, we do have the potential for a few flurries around over the next hour or so, but then dry skies are expected. As mentioned, highs in the teens, overnight lows near zero, and then lake effect snow returning at the end of the week. So Thursday night, Friday into Saturday, we have the chance for some lake effect snow. We'll get to those details as far as how much snow we expect within the next couple of days. But right now, I want to talk about our current forecast. Satellite radar showing that touch of blue in Chicago. So again, don't be surprised if you see some flurries. Temperatures, though, the main headline, along with gusty wind. Right now, it's 13 degrees. These are the actual temperatures. 13 at the lakefront in O'Hare, 14 at Midway, 16 in Joliet and Gary, 18 in Michigan City. So around 10 to 20 degrees out there in Chicagoland. Here's your next 48 hours. So temperatures are going to be peaking there around 10 to 15. As we get on into this evening and tonight, we're dropping down to the low single digits. Then tomorrow, repeat back to about 15, 16 degrees for Chicago. And then even on Thursday, it's going to be quiet until Thursday night when that chance for lake effect snow returns. So here's your 3-day forecast. Right around 13 today, I mentioned that chance for some light flurry activity around, especially early. Tomorrow, 17 and then 15 expected on Thursday. So we're kind of having this quiet middle of the week, a little bit gusty today. Over the next few days, sunshine and dry skies, and then that chance for snow returns. I'll show you that on your 7-day forecast ahead. Natalie.
Thank you, Caitlin. Another country might be looking at restricting social media, and it's going for a younger age. We'll be right back.
Fox 32 News is brought to you by the Discover Boating.
Welcome back at 8:51 on your Tuesday morning. More countries are starting to take a serious look at banning social media for children.
Australia's ban took effect this month, and a lot of countries were watching to kind of see how that shook out. Gabrielle is here with more.
And we can add France that list. French lawmakers have overwhelmingly approved a ban on social media for children 15 and under. The lower house of the French parliament passed the ban earlier today. It will go to the Senate with a chance of being law. French President Emmanuel Macron has been a big supporter of this bill. The same bill also bans cell phones in high school there. If it's passed, France intends for the law to take effect with the new school year in the fall. Let's talk a little bit more about some crime. In Orlando, Florida, an 18-year-old man was arrested for carjacking a woman at gunpoint. And obviously he needed an excuse, so he claimed he needed to go and see his grandmother. That's why he did it. Deputies said he led them on a short chase before crashing into a parked car on a front lawn. The victim said she thought it was a joke at first.
How scared were you?
I was very scared at this point, but it was a kid and he looked like something was wrong. I mean, if he was robbing me, he could have taken all my jewelry. I had on jewelry. He could have taken my money. I had money on me. I had my credit cards. He could have taken my bag. My bag had my laptop in it. He didn't take anything. There's better ways of, dealing with whatever life throws at you. There's better ways. You don't need to, rob people and, cheat your way through life. You'll never see your way.
Well, it sounds makes a little more sense. Sounds like it was a kid here. Police say the driver did not have a license. He's facing several charges. Well, sometimes the crooks are the ones turning in the crooks. In Massachusetts, police say a man tried to steal a car but couldn't get it to start. So he decided, you know what, I'm going to open up the trunk and see what I could steal there. Well, he found a bunch of drugs. He called police and told them a 62-year-old man was then charged with drug trafficking. However, no one said if the attempted car thief was actually charged. Anthony.
Okay, Gabby, thank you very much. Milwaukee is going to be pushing for stronger penalties on landlords, and this all stems from 50 people being forced out because of unlivable conditions. The government shut down a 36-unit apartment building last week because it didn't have heat, didn't have water. Council members in Milwaukee say the fines aren't enough to make landlords change their ways, although people are real skeptical that anything is going to get done.
Fines, a couple of $100 here, a couple of $1,000 there, is just absorbed by landlords taking in $10, $20 million a year in rent.
Why haven't they been proactive in some of these situations that have caused all of this dilemma that brings us here today?
Since November, 11 properties have been shut down because they did not have heat.
Would you want to live to be 150? Because science says humans will soon be able to make it that far. 150. Genetics are changing how scientists study biological age. Biological age helps researchers see if treatments slow or reverse aging and do more than treat diseases. While 150 is theoretically possible, keep in mind 1,000 is not.
Okay. If your kids are playing sports, you already know it can cost a lot, maybe more than you think. The Club Sports Index says there's obviously a big positive impact for kids off the field as well, but you are going to pay for it, especially club-level sports, which require a significant amount of time and money.
During club season, anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a month just for the club fees. Also, the friends that she's made, the exercise that she is getting, the discipline that she's getting through the weekly practices, that I always feel the money was worth it.
Experts say that it is important, however, for parents and kids to find a balance in order to avoid burning out on all those activities.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, we've been getting Ken's name wrong for 65 years, like as in Barbie and Ken. He's not Ken. His real name is Kenneth Sean Carson. He's named for the founders of Mattel. Ken will turn 61 in March. He was introduced 2 years after Barbie. And at the time, the official story from Mattel was Barbie met Ken at a teenage dance. And like most men, he's been disappointing Barbie ever since.
But not in the looks category. 61 years old, he looks fantastic.
Not age today.
Right.
Right.
All right. You can get blinded by science again this spring, everybody. Thomas Dolby coming to the House of Blues April 20th. Tickets are on sale now. Now, I'm unfamiliar, but apparently he was in heavy rotation on MTV in the New Wave era with She Blinded Me with Science. And in that video, that is actually a real scientist who yells science. Apparently Dolby hated that video because after it kind of gained steam publicly, everyone would just walk up to him on the street and yell science.
I'm sure there are worse things.
Worse things to be yelled and called science.
Right. You might want to let someone else be the test subject for the first hotel on the moon. Some company in Silicon Valley actually believes it can build a moon hotel. It'll be made on Earth and then sent off to the lunar surface. It's inflatable, so you know that's real
it's
safe.
A blow-up hotel.
Yeah. How does that work, though, with the gravity situation there?
Oh,
it needs to be tethered, right?
Yeah, it must be.
That could
just float right away?
Yes. It's going to cost $1 million a night to stay.
$1 million a night?
Whew.
Okay.
And maybe you won't stay. Maybe you'll float into another galaxy.
Exactly. 8:57, and we have another fun hour of Good Day Chicago. Coming up, our 9 o'clock hours next, and that's going to be followed by Caitlin and me on Chicago Now. Hope you're having a great morning so far.
Fox 32